I never thought I'd be the kind of person who'd smile while watching someone's world fall apart. But then again, I never thought the man I loved would let his family treat me like I was worth less than the furniture in their house. Before we get into this story, if you're tired of people thinking they can walk all over you, hit that subscribe button. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't getting mad. It's getting even. And trust me, you'll want to see how this plays out. My name's Maya, and 6 months ago, I was planning a wedding. Today, I'm watching my ex-fiance's family business crumble like a sandcastle at high tide. And honestly, I'm not sorry. It started normal enough. I met Derek at a coffee shop in downtown Portland. One of those meet cutes you see in movies, except real life doesn't have a soundtrack. He spilled his latte on my laptop bag, apologized about 50 times, and insisted on buying me coffee for a week to make up for it. He was charming. Funny. He had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room. We dated for 2 years. Good years, mostly. He worked for his family's manufacturing company. Nothing crazy. They made industrial parts for construction companies. Solid business. His parents, Patricia and Robert, were well, let's just say they had money and made sure everyone knew it. I'm a freelance graphic designer. I do pretty well for myself, but I'm not pulling 6 figures. I grew up in a small apartment with my mom after my dad left. My grandpa helped raise me. He died when I was 23. I loved him more than anyone in the world. He was the one who taught me that quiet people aren't weak people, that sometimes the smartest move is to watch and wait. When Derek proposed, I cried, happy tears, stupid, hopeful tears. Then I met with his parents to discuss wedding logistics. We sat in their dining room, this huge, cold space with a chandelier that probably cost more than my car. Patricia sat at the head of the table like she was running a board meeting. Derek sat next to me, holding my hand. I should have known something was off by how tense he was. Maya, sweetheart, Patricia said, smiling in that way that doesn't reach the eyes. We're so happy to welcome you into the family. Thank you, Mrs. Hartwell. I'm excited too. Of course you are. She slid a folder across the table. Thick, official looking. Now, we just have a small formality to handle before we move forward with planning. Just standard procedure for families like ours. I opened it. Prenuptial agreement. 23 pages. Oh, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Sure, that makes sense. Derek squeezed my hand. It's just a formality, babe. My dad's lawyer drew it up, standard stuff. I started reading. Page 1 was normal enough. Separate property, division of assets. But page 3, that's where it got ugly. In the event of divorce, I'd get nothing. Not 50-50, nothing. Even if we were married 20 years. Even if we had kids. 0 claim to any marital assets, any business interests, anything. Page 7 said I'd waive rights to any future inheritance I might receive during the marriage. Page 12 had a lifestyle clause. That was basically a list of behaviors that would void any minimal protections I had, including failure to maintain household standards and actions that damage the family reputation. I looked up. Patricia was watching me like a hawk. This is pretty one-sided, I said quietly. Well, dear, Derek is bringing significantly more to the marriage. We're just protecting what our family has built. Her tone was sweet, but her eyes weren't. I'm sure you understand. You seem like a smart girl. My chest felt tight. Can I have my own lawyer look at this? Of course, Robert said, speaking for the first time. Though we'd like to move forward quickly. The wedding venue needs a deposit by next week, and we can't move forward until this is signed. Translation, sign it now or we pull the plug. I looked at Derek. Really looked at him. Waiting for him to say something, to tell his parents this was insane, to defend me. He just squeezed my hand again. Maya, I know it seems like a lot, but it's really just paperwork. It doesn't mean anything. I love you. This doesn't change that. But it did change things, and we both knew it. I took the folder home, cried in my car for 20 minutes before I drove away. That night, Derek texted me. I know that was awkward, but you know I love you, right? This is just them being careful. We're gonna have an amazing life together. I stared at that text for a long time. Then I called Mr. Castellano. I hadn't talked to him in almost 5 years, not since we settled my grandpa's estate. My grandpa, Frank Delgado, was a quiet man. Worked as a contractor his whole life, lived in a small house, drove an old truck, When he died, I figured he'd left me maybe a few $1,000s. Turns out my grandpa was way smarter than anyone knew. He'd bought properties in the 90s when Portland real estate was dirt cheap. Invested carefully. Lived below his means. And he'd left everything to me, in a trust that I couldn't access until I was 30, or unless I needed it for something he called protection or opportunity. The trust was worth $2.3 million. Mr. Castellano had been managing it, watching over it, waiting. "Maya," he said when he answered. His voice was exactly how I remembered, calm, steady, Brooklyn accent still thick after 40 years in Oregon. "It's been a while." "I need your help," I said. "I need you to look at something." 2 days later, I sat in his office while he read the prenup. He didn't say anything for 10 minutes. Just read, made notes, flipped pages. His expression got darker with each page. Finally, he set it down and looked at me over his glasses. "Maya, you cannot sign, but..." "No, you don't understand. This isn't just bad. This is punitive. This is designed to make sure that if this marriage ends for any reason, even if he cheats, even if he leaves you, you walk away with nothing. Not even what you came in with." He tapped the document. "They're not protecting assets. They're setting a trap." "What do you mean?" "They're betting you'll sign because you're in love. They're counting on you being young and not understanding what you're giving up. And once you sign this, you're locked in." He leaned forward. "These people think you're disposable." The word hit me like a slap. Disposable. "So what do I do?" My voice cracked. "Derek wants to marry me. I love him." Mr. Castellano was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Your grandfather told me something once." He said, "Vinny, the people who underestimate you are giving you the best gift in the world. They're showing you their hand before you play yours." "What's that mean?" He smiled. Not a nice smile. A sharp one. "It means if you want to marry this boy, you sign their prenup. You smile. You play along. But first you let me do some digging on this family business of theirs. Because in my experience, people who demand this level of protection usually have something they're trying to hide." I sat back. My hands were shaking. "And Maya? The trust your grandfather left you? It's yours. They don't know about it. And they don't need to know about it." "Not yet." I signed the prenup 3 days later. Derek hugged me. His mother smiled that cold smile and said, "Welcome to the family, dear." I smiled back, and I started planning. The next 2 months were weird. On the surface, everything looked perfect. We picked out flowers, tasted cakes. Derek's mom took control of most of the planning, which should have been my first clue she saw this as her wedding, not mine. I smiled through it, agreed to things I didn't want, played the role of the grateful future daughter-in-law. But underneath, I was watching, listening, learning. Mr. Castellano worked fast. Turned out when you have money and you know the right people, you can find out a lot about a business, public records, court filings, contracts, vendor relationships. He had a whole network, retired investigators, attorneys, people who knew how to pull threads until something unraveled. 3 weeks after I signed the prenup, he called me. "We need to meet." Not at my office. Somewhere private. We met at a diner on the east side. He brought a briefcase. Ordered coffee he didn't drink. "I found something," he said quietly. "Actually, I found several things." He opened the briefcase and pulled out a folder. Started laying out papers like he was building a case, which I guess he was. Hartwell Manufacturing. On paper, they're doing fine. Revenue's steady. They've got contracts with 3 major construction firms. Everything looks clean. He paused, but I started looking at their vendor relationships. The companies they buy materials from. And that's where it gets interesting. Interesting how 2 of their biggest suppliers, they're shell companies. Owned by Robert Hartwell through an LLC. He's basically invoicing his own company at inflated prices, then pocketing the difference. It's a way to hide income from taxes and from anyone who might want a piece of the business, like partners or investors. I stared at the documents. That's illegal. Very. It's wire fraud. Tax evasion. If the IRS found out, they'd be finished. He pulled out another sheet. But that's not all. They've been billing clients for materials they never actually used. Cheaper stuff gets installed, but the invoice shows premium materials. I've got emails from a former project manager who left the company last year. He kept copies of everything before they fired him. Why'd they fire him? He threatened to report them. They paid him 50 grand to disappear and sign an NDA. But NDAs don't cover illegal activity, and he's been waiting for someone to ask the right questions. Mr. Castellano leaned back. Maya, this company is a house of cards. One strong wind and it collapses. My hands felt cold. So what do we do? That depends. What do you want? I didn't answer right away. A month ago, I would have said I just wanted to marry Derek and be happy. But things had changed. Little things I'd been ignoring suddenly made sense. Like how Derek always had his phone face down. How he'd started working late, more often. How he'd snap at me over nothing, then apologize and say he was stressed about the wedding. 2 weeks earlier, I'd stopped by his apartment to surprise him with dinner. He wasn't there. His roommate, his cousin Tyler, was, though. Tyler was drunk, sitting on the couch playing video games. Derek's not here, he'd said, not looking away from the screen. Oh, do you know when he'll be back? Tyler had paused the game then, looked at me with this expression I couldn't read. You really don't know, do you? Know what? He'd stared at me for a long moment. Then he'd shaken his head. Nothing. Forget it. He'll be back later. But I couldn't forget it. That look stayed with me. So one night, when Derek said he was working late, I drove to his office. His car wasn't there. I called him. He answered on the third ring, and I could hear music in the background. Voices. A woman laughing. Hey babe, he'd said, and his voice had that slightly too loud quality people get when they're pretending everything's normal. What's up? Just wanted to say goodnight. You still at the office? Yeah, buried in paperwork. Probably gonna be here another hour. The woman laughed again in the background. Closer this time. Okay, I'd said. Love you. Love you too. I'd sat in my car in that empty parking lot for 20 minutes. Then I'd driven home and cried until I couldn't breathe. I didn't confront him. I didn't throw his ring back at him. I just watched. And I started noticing everything. The way his mom looked at me like I was something temporary. The way his dad barely acknowledged me at family dinners. The way Derek would check his phone and smile at messages he never explained. So when Mr. Castellano asked me what I wanted, I knew the answer. I want to know the truth, I said. About Derek? About all of it? He nodded slowly. I can do that. But Maya, if we go down this road, there's no going back. Are you sure? I thought about my grandpa. About how he'd worked his whole life, built something real, and left it to me because he believed I was stronger than people thought. About how he'd told me once when I was 16 and some boy had broken my heart, Mija. People will show you who they are. Your job is to believe them the first time. I'm sure, I said. It took Mr. Castellano's investigator 4 days to confirm what I already knew in my gut. Derek was cheating on me with his ex-girlfriend, Melissa. They'd been seeing each other the entire time we'd been engaged. Meeting at her apartment, going to hotels. She'd even been at his cousin's birthday party 2 months ago. The one Derek said was family only, and I couldn't attend. The investigator had photos, time stamped. Derek's car outside her building. The two of them having dinner at a restaurant an hour outside Portland, where they thought no one would recognize them. One photo showed them kissing in a parking lot, her hand on his chest, him smiling like he didn't have a fiancé at home planning their wedding. I looked at those photos on Mr. Castellano's desk and felt nothing. Not heartbreak, not rage, just this cold, clear certainty. Does his family know? I asked. Mr. Castellano hesitated. My investigator talked to a few people. A former employee mentioned seeing Derek with some blonde at a company event 6 months ago. Said Patricia saw them too. Didn't seem surprised. They knew. His mother knew her son was cheating on me, and she'd still sat across from me with that fake smile and made me sign a prenup that would leave me with nothing. I was disposable, just like Mr. Castellano said. Okay, I said quietly. What's the plan? Mr. Castellano pulled out a notepad, started writing. We're going to do this carefully, legally, but thoroughly. He looked up at me. They think you're naive. They think you're just some girl who got lucky landing their son. They have no idea what you're capable of, and they have no idea what resources you have. That's our advantage. What do you need from me? Stay calm? Keep playing along. Don't let them know you know anything. Can you do that? I thought about the wedding dress hanging in my closet, the invitations we'd just sent out, the life I'd imagined that was never real to begin with. Yeah, I said, I can do that. Over the next 3 weeks, Mr. Castellano built the case. He contacted the former project manager who'd been paid off, got copies of the falsified invoices, traced the shell companies back to Robert Hartwell, found more evidence of tax fraud, contract violations, safety regulation failures they'd covered up. He also reached out to their 3 biggest clients, not directly. He was too smart for that. But he had connections, people who knew people. Word started spreading, quietly, that Hartwell Manufacturing might not be as solid as they appeared, that there might be some concerns about their billing practices, their material quality. Nothing official, just whispers. Meanwhile, I planned my wedding, smiled at Derek, had dinner with his parents, listened to Patricia criticize my choice of centerpieces, and I waited. The break came from a place I didn't expect. Derek's cousin Tyler called me. It was late, almost 11 on a Thursday. Derek was working late again. Maya, you got a minute? Well, sure. What's up? Look, I know I should have said something earlier, but Derek's my cousin, and I thought maybe he'd figure his shit out on his own. He paused. He's not going to figure it out, and you deserve better than this. Better than what, Tyler? He's still seeing Melissa. He's been seeing her the whole time, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to stop after you guys get married. My aunt? Patricia? She knows. She told him it was fine as long as he was discreet. She said once you guys were married and had kids, it wouldn't matter anymore because you'd be locked in. There it was. Out loud. Confirmed. Why are you telling me this? I asked, my voice steady even though my hands were shaking. Because you seem nice. And because this whole family is messed up, and I'm tired of watching them treat people like they're nothing. He sighed. I don't know what you're going to do with this information, but you should know before you marry him. Thanks. Tyler, yeah. Sorry it took me this long. After I hung up, I sat in my quiet apartment and made a decision. I called Mr. Castellano. It's time, I said. Do it. You're sure? I'm sure? Okay, give me 1 week. And Maya, you might want to start looking for a new place to live. Things are going to get very loud very fast. 7 days later, everything fell apart for the Hartwells, and I had a front row seat. It started on a Monday morning. I was at Derek's parents' house. Patricia had insisted I come over to finalize seating arrangements for the reception. We were 3 weeks out from the wedding. Everything was paid for. Invitations were out. I was playing my role perfectly. Derek's dad was in his home office. I could hear him on a call, his voice getting louder. Then he started yelling. Patricia looked up from her binder full of place cards. What on earth? Robert came out of his office, his face red. We just lost the Patterson account. What? Why? They said they're going in a different direction. Just like that. 30-day notice. He was pacing now. That's 15% of our annual revenue. Patricia stood up. Call them back. Offer them a better rate. We can't afford to lose. Robert's phone rang again. He answered it, listened for maybe 10 seconds, then his face went pale. What do you mean they're pulling out? I sat very still, watching. That was Bryce Construction, he said after he hung up. They're terminating the contract. Said they have concerns about material quality and billing accuracy. He looked at Patricia. Someone's been talking to our clients. I excused myself to go to the bathroom, pulled out my phone. Texted Mr. Castellano, it's happening. He replied immediately, this is just the beginning. By Wednesday, 2 more clients had dropped them. Their biggest supplier, a real one, not one of the shell companies, called to say they were reviewing the account and putting a hold on new orders until some discrepancies were resolved. Derek was stressed, snapping at everyone. He barely talked to me. His dad was at the office until midnight every night. Patricia was making calls, trying to use her social connections to figure out what was happening. Thursday morning, I was at my apartment when Derek called. Can you come over? I need to talk to you? My heart was racing, but I kept my voice calm. Sure. Everything okay? Just come over. Please. When I got to his apartment, he looked like he hadn't slept. Tyler wasn't there. The place was quiet. What's going on? I asked. Derek ran his hands through his hair. Everything's falling apart. The business is. I don't know what's happening. Dad's freaking out. We might have to postpone the wedding. Postpone it. And just for a few months. Until things stabilize. We're bleeding money right now and we can't afford. He stopped. Looked at me. You understand, right? I mean, it's not like you've contributed anything to the wedding costs anyway. There it was, the mask slipping. Right? I said quietly. Of course. He came over, put his arms around me. I'm sorry, I know this sucks, but we'll figure it out. I love you. I hugged him back. Over his shoulder, I could see his phone on the counter. Screen lit up, a text from M with a heart emoji, miss you. When can I see you? I love you too, I said. That night, Mr. Castellano sent me an email subject line, package delivered. The IRS had received an anonymous tip about Hartwell Manufacturing's shell companies and billing practices. A formal investigation had been opened. Additionally, the former project manager had filed a complaint with the state contracting board about safety violations and fraudulent material certifications. Things are going to move fast now. Mr. Castellano wrote. Make sure you're ready. Friday afternoon, I was at work when Derek called. He was crying. Maya, I need you to do something for me. What is it? I need to borrow money. The business. We're in trouble. Real trouble. Dad says we need capital to stay afloat while we deal with these investigations. I know you probably don't have much, but anything would help. Even 10 or 20,000. I'll pay you back, I swear. I closed my eyes, took a breath. Derek, I'm a freelance graphic designer. I don't have that kind of money. What about a loan? Or a credit card? Maya, please. My family is counting on me. We're going to lose everything. I'm sorry. I can't help you. His tone changed. Got harder. Can't or won't? Right. Of course. You know what? Forget it. I shouldn't have asked. He hung up. 2 hours later, Patricia called me. Her voice was cold-clipped. Maya, I think we need to talk about the wedding. Okay. Given the current circumstances, I think it's best if we cancel. Not postpone. Cancel. This clearly isn't the right time, and frankly, I'm not sure you're the right fit for our family. There it was. Now that they needed money and thought I couldn't provide it, I was disposable. Again. I see, I said. I'm sure you understand. We'll reimburse you for any personal expenses you incurred, of course. That won't be necessary. Good. I'll have Derek return your ring. She hung up. Didn't even say goodbye. I sat in my apartment for a while. Then I called Mr. Castellano. They just broke off the engagement, I said. Perfect timing, he said. I have something to show you. Can you come to the office? When I got there, he had papers spread across his desk. Financial statements, legal documents, a timeline written on his whiteboard. Hartwell Manufacturing is done, he said simply. The IRS investigation is moving forward. They're going to find everything. The shell companies, the tax fraud, all of it. The state contracting board is reviewing every project they've worked on in the last 5 years. Their clients are gone. Their suppliers won't work with them, and their insurance company just got wind of the safety violations and is threatening to drop coverage. How long until they go under? Realistically, 3 months, maybe less. They'll have to declare bankruptcy. Robert will probably face criminal charges. The business is finished. I should have felt something. Guilt, maybe. Satisfaction. But I just felt tired. There's one more thing, Mr. Castellano said. He handed me a document. This is a lawsuit. Filed this morning. The former project manager is suing them for wrongful termination and breach of contract. He's asking for $2 million in damages. And he's going to win because we have all that evidence. I'm funding his legal fees. Consider it an investment in justice. He smiled slightly. Your grandfather would have approved. The next week was chaos. I heard about it through Tyler, who kept me updated. The Hartwells were scrambling, trying to find lawyers, trying to liquidate assets. Derek had apparently moved back in with his parents. Melissa had stopped returning his calls when she realized he was broke. Patricia called me once. Left a voicemail. Her voice was different, smaller, desperate. Maya, I think we were hasty. Perhaps we could sit down and discuss the wedding. I'm sure we can work something out. Please call me back. I deleted the message. 2 weeks after they'd broken off the engagement, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Maya, it's Derek. I wanted to apologize for everything. My mom told me to break up with you and I should have fought harder. I should have stood up for you. I was a coward. I didn't say anything. The thing is, everything's falling apart right now. The business, my family, everything. And I realized you were the only good thing in my life. The only real thing. He paused. I want to try again. No prenup this time. I promise. Things will be different. I almost laughed. Derek, were you cheating on me with Melissa? Silence. Then, Who told you that? Were you? It didn't mean anything. I was stressed about the wedding and she was just there and... Stop. I don't want to hear it. Maya, please. I made a mistake. We can fix this. I love you. No, you don't. You loved what you thought I was. Someone small. Someone who wouldn't ask questions. Someone who'd sign away her rights and smile while your mother treated her like trash. My voice was steady, calm. You never knew me at all. That's not fair. Goodbye, Derek. I hung up. Blocked his number. Blocked his whole family. That night I met Mr. Castellano for dinner, a nice place downtown. He ordered wine. We toasted. To Frank, he said, raising his glass. He knew you were stronger than anyone gave you credit for. To Grandpa. I agreed. So what's next for you? I thought about it. About the trust fund I still had. About the life I could build now, without Derek, without people who saw me as something to use and throw away. I'm thinking about starting my own design agency. Something small at first. Maybe hire a few freelancers. Build something that's mine. Your grandfather would love that? Yeah, he would. Mr. Castellano reached into his briefcase, pulled out an envelope. One more thing. This came through today. Hartwell Manufacturing officially filed for bankruptcy. The business is being liquidated. Robert's under indictment for tax fraud and wire fraud. They're going to lose the house, the cars, everything. I took the envelope, looked at the documents inside. It was really over. How do you feel? He asked. Honestly, I feel free. 3 months later, I launched my design agency, small office in a good part of town. 2 full-time employees, 3 freelancers. We specialized in branding for small businesses, people who were building something real, something that mattered. I dated casually, focused on work, took a trip to Spain by myself, started therapy to work through everything, got a dog, a rescue mutt named Charlie who slept on my bed and made me laugh every day. I heard through Tyler that Derek moved to Seattle, got a job in sales, was living with roommates, trying to rebuild his life. His mom had to get a job for the first time in 30 years. She was working as an office manager somewhere. His dad took a plea deal, avoided prison, but had to pay massive fines and was barred from owning a business. I didn't feel bad for them. I didn't celebrate their misery. I just moved on. One afternoon, almost a year after everything fell apart, I was at a coffee shop working on a client proposal. Someone sat down across from me. I looked up. It was Derek. He looked older. Tired. Different. He said, I heard about your business. Tyler told me. Sounds like it's going really well. It is. That's good. I'm happy for you. He seemed genuine, which was strange. I wanted to say I'm sorry. Really sorry. I treated you terribly. You deserved so much better. Yeah, I did. For what it's worth, losing you was the worst part of all of this. Not the business. Not the money. Losing you. He stood up. Anyway, I won't bother you. I just wanted you to know that. He walked away. I watched him go. Felt nothing. Tyler texted me later that night. Derek told me he saw you. Said you looked happy. I smiled. Texted back, I am. So here's the thing about revenge. Real revenge isn't dramatic. It's not shouting matches or public confrontations or revenge porn or any of that movie stuff. Real revenge is just refusing to be the person they thought you were. It's building a life they said you couldn't have. It's being happy when they thought you'd be broken. They thought I was disposable. Small. Someone who'd accept whatever they gave me and be grateful for it. They were wrong. If this story spoke to you, if you've ever been underestimated or treated like you didn't matter, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment about a time someone underestimated you. Give this video a like if you believe in standing up for yourself, even when it's hard. And share it with someone who needs to hear that they're stronger than anyone thinks. Because here's the truth: the people who underestimate you are giving you a gift. They're showing you exactly who they are. Your job is to believe them, and then show them who you are. Thanks for listening to my story. I'm Maya, and I'm doing just fine.